Forever my Valentine. It started with a single rose. Emily found it on her doorstep on the morning of February 14th. The stem was fresh, the petals a deep crimson, and tied around it was a thin silk ribbon with a small tag attached. Curious, she picked it up and read the message. "Happy Valentine's Day, my love. I've waited so long for you." There was no name, no return address. Just the words, handwritten in red ink that smudged slightly under her fingertips. Emily frowned. She had no boyfriend, no admirers that she knew of. Maybe a mistake? A wrong address? She glanced around her quiet suburban street, but nothing seemed out of place. Shrugging, she set the rose inside on her kitchen counter and went about her day. By evening, she had almost forgotten about it. Until the knocking started. 3 soft knocks, deliberate, almost rhythmic. Emily hesitated before answering the door. When she finally opened it, no one was there. Just another rose lying on the welcome mat. Another tag attached. "I'm closer than you think." A chill ran down her spine. She peered into the darkness beyond her porch, but the street was empty. Shaking off her nerves, she locked the door, closing the deadbolt for good measure. That night, she struggled to sleep. Shadows shifted unnaturally in the corners of her room, and faint creaks echoed through her home. The wind, she told herself, just the wind. Then came the whisper, so close it tickled her ear. "Emily." She bolted upright, heart hammering, but the room was empty. The darkness seemed deeper, heavier. She reached for her phone on the nightstand, fingers trembling as she dialed her best friend, Lisa. Lisa answered groggily. It's like 3 a.m. "What's wrong?" "Someone's watching me," Emily whispered. "I think someone was in my house." Silence on the other end. Then, Lisa's voice sharpened. "I'm coming over. Don't move." Emily barely breathed as she waited, every minute stretching into eternity. When Lisa arrived, she searched the house top to bottom, but found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no footprints. Just the rose, still sitting innocently on the counter. "You need to relax, Em," Lisa said, but her voice wavered. "Maybe you just had a bad dream?" Emily nodded, but deep down, she knew something was wrong. The next morning, she found another rose. This time, it was inside her house, lying on her nightstand, and the note attached made her blood turn to ice. "You left the back door unlocked. I watched you sleep. You're even more beautiful up close." Emily screamed and stumbled backward, her breaths coming in ragged gasps. This wasn't a prank. Someone had been in her room, inches away from her as she slept. She called the police. They searched the house, questioned the neighbors, but there was nothing to go on. No fingerprints, no signs of a break-in. Just the rose, the note, and a growing sense of dread curling in her stomach. That night, Lisa insisted she stay over. "There's no way you're sleeping alone," she said firmly, setting up camp in Emily's living room. Hours passed in uneasy silence. Then, at exactly 2:14 a.m., Emily's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Come outside. I have a gift for you." Lisa snatched the phone from Emily's trembling hands. "Hell no. We're calling the cops." Before she could dial, another text came through. "Call them and Lisa dies first." Emily's stomach dropped. She looked at Lisa, her best friend's face pale and tight with fear. "We should run," Lisa whispered. "Get in the car and just—" A new sound cut through the room. The front door handle. Turning. The deadbolt held, but the sound of slow, deliberate scratching against the wood made Emily's skin crawl. A voice, muffled but clear, drifted through the door. "Let me in, Emily. You belong to me." Lisa grabbed a knife from the kitchen and gestured for Emily to stay back. But just as suddenly as it started, the scratching stopped. Silence pressed in around them, heavy and suffocating. Then a single knock, and a folded note slid under the door. Lisa hesitated before picking it up. She unfolded it slowly, her face draining of color as she read it. "What does it say?" Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Lisa swallowed hard and handed her the note. "You should have let me in. Now I have to take you." The next morning, Emily woke up to find Lisa gone. The blankets on the couch were still rumpled, her phone lying abandoned on the coffee table. But Lisa was nowhere in sight. Emily's chest tightened. "Lisa," she called, checking every room. "Lisa, this isn't funny." Then she saw it. A single rose, lying on the couch where Lisa had been. And next to it, Lisa's phone, screen cracked, the last message open. A picture of Lisa, bound and gagged in a dark, windowless room. A text followed. "Now it's just you and me, my love." Emily screamed, her vision tunneling. She dialed 911 with shaking hands, but the call wouldn't go through. No signal. Her Wi-Fi was down. Then a sound behind her, a slow, deliberate breath. Hot against her neck. She spun around, but no one was there. Just the whisper of something moving in the shadows. The air in the room grew thick, oppressive. Then the lights flickered and died. Emily didn't remember running. Just the sensation of cold air on her skin as she bolted outside, her bare feet slamming against the pavement. The neighborhood was eerily quiet, every house dark, as if the world itself had emptied. A car engine rumbled behind her. Headlights flared to life, casting long shadows across the pavement. Then, tires screeched. Emily turned just in time to see the black car racing toward her. She dove aside as the vehicle skidded to a stop inches away. The driver's door creaked open, and a figure stepped out. Tall, dressed in black, a white mask obscuring their face. "Why are you running?" the voice crooned. "Don't you know? We were meant to be together." Emily scrambled to her feet, but the masked figure was faster. A gloved hand clamped over her mouth as she was dragged toward the car. "Shoo," he whispered against her ear. "It's time for our forever." Emily kicked, struggled, but the world was spinning, her vision blurring. Something was pressed against her nose, a sickly sweet scent filling her lungs. Darkness swallowed her whole. When Emily woke, she was dressed in white. A wedding gown, vintage lace, delicate and suffocating. Her hands were bound, her feet shackled. She was sitting at a table, candlelit, roses scattered around her. Across from her sat the masked man. He reached up, removing his mask. And Emily's world shattered. It was Jake, her ex-boyfriend. The one who had died in a car accident 2 years ago. His skin was pale, his eyes hollow, but he smiled. "Did you think I'd leave you?" "Not on our special day." Emily sobbed, shaking her head in disbelief. "No, you're dead." Jake leaned closer, caressing her cheek with ice-cold fingers. "Forever, my love," he whispered. "You promised." And then he leaned in to kiss her. As the world faded to black, the last thing Emily saw was a dozen red roses blooming around her, their petals darkening with blood.